Seating arrangements are an important part in a teacher's plan for classroom management. The teacher needs to consider the physical arrangements of the classroom and also the nature of the students involved to make sure the physical environment of the room is such that teaching and learning can occur as efficiently as possible. In the ESL classroom, the teacher needs to be able to walk around the room easily, as interacting with students is important. When arranging the seating in a class, it's important to remember that students seated in the center or the front of the classroom tend to interact with the teacher more frequently, and that the number of behavioral problems tend to increase as the students sit further back from the teacher. There are 5 recommended arrangements that teachers can use to arrange seating in the ESL environment. They are cluster, rows, table rows, semicircle arrangements, and pairs. Every class is different, so what worked once may not work a second time. The best arrangement for every class thus depends on the age of the class, the type of students in the class, the necessary activities that needs to happen in that class, and on the teacher's own philosophy. Let's have a look at these seating arrangements to see what would work best in different situations. Firstly, let's have a look at clusters. Clusters consist of 4 or 5 desks pushed together so every desk is facing one another, thus forming a small group. The classroom will have clusters scattered around a few meters apart so that teachers can easily move between clusters. Before setting up this kind of seating arrangements, the students need to be considered as well. The teacher needs to consider whether the students will be able to work together. The teacher would also need to make sure that there are different levels of students at each group so they can help each other learn and grow. Clusters are common in situations where there is a lot of group learning and work. It's usually used when the philosophy of the teacher is more focused on collaborative learning. Clusters enable students to have hands-on activities and learn by practicing. Clusters are not very good for tests or quizzes, as students can cheat off each other. Clusters can also disadvantage the teacher when giving a direct instruction lesson because students may not be oriented towards them. The second seating arrangement we can look at is desk rows. Desk rows is a traditional classroom seating arrangement of several rows of desks facing the teacher. The students' desks are not touching each other but are lined up in rows and columns. Before assigning seats to students in this arrangement, the teacher needs to quickly map social interactions between and among students so they know where to place who. The teacher then also needs to decide which students can handle being in the back of the classroom and who would work well sitting in the front where the teacher would be most of the time. Desk rows are the perfect test-taking arrangement if the teacher is monitoring the class. In this situation, the teacher's philosophy would be directed towards direct instruction, as students are all facing the teacher and can see the blackboard at the front of the class. The problem with this arrangement, however, is that some students are going to have to sit in the corners and in the back of the room where students usually participate and interact less. This arrangement is also not good for group work or projects. Taking the time to have some students get into groups and move their desks is taking away important instructional time during the school day. The next seating arrangement we can look at is table rows. Table rows consist of long tables that are placed in rows that are perpendicular to the front and back of the classroom. The students sit next to and across from each other. It's a good arrangement for group work and large group projects, and teachers using this arrangement usually have a philosophy that focuses on collaborative learning. The problem with this setup though is that there are students at the ends of the tables or in the back of the classroom that will not be able to see during the direct instruction time. In a similar fashion, teachers can't see all the students either, and this might make for a bad testing situation. Next, we can look at semicircles. The seating arrangement is when all desks touch each other facing the front of the classroom in a semicircle shape. This arrangement enables the teacher to easily see each student, and the students in turn can see the teacher and the instructional aids. The philosophies of the teacher using this arrangement can be direct instruction, child run, or collaborative. The seating arrangement works well because all the students can see each other and therefore they can have discussions amongst themselves or work together on projects. Furthermore, because the students all have clear vision to the board, direct instruction from the teacher could be very common. The downside of the semicircle seating arrangement is that teachers would have a hard time meeting with the students one-on-one because the seats are very close to each other. The semicircle furthermore takes up a lot of space and therefore doesn't allow for much room for activities or conferencing outside the desk area. The last seating arrangement we can look at is pairs. This seating arrangement is when two students' desks are placed next to each other and spaced away from other pairs. This arrangement allows for the teacher to walk around the classroom and monitor all the students. Before using this arrangement, however, the teacher needs to decide which students can be paired together and not misbehave or lower their academic stamina. The teacher's philosophy in this situation is usually a mix between adult-run and collaborative learning, as pairs allows the students to work together and independently. As students are all facing the teacher and the front of the classroom, it's easy to have the students see the instructional aids that could be used. Using the seating arrangement also allows teachers to see all the students and monitor them during tests or exams. The downside of pair seating arrangements is again that there are students that will be in the back and corners of the classroom. This arrangement, furthermore, doesn't allow for much class discussion because the students are not facing each other and it's hard to hear and see who is talking. As you can see from these 5 different seating arrangements, there are advantages and disadvantages to all of them. It is therefore up to the teacher to choose which one they want to use. But it's also important to keep in mind that a teacher cannot keep the seating arrangements the same for every class, as rows, for example, wouldn't work well for collaborative learning, and clusters, on the other hand, wouldn't work well for students who are writing tests.